It's time for our last little portion of section 3.1, objective 4, which is determining the mode of a random variable from raw data. So the mode is the observation that occurs the most frequently. Sometimes it's also the modal class, the class that occurs the most frequently. So for example, on our particular data set with not Joe's test scores, but with the number of pets in our class. Let me bold that so we can see it more clearly. So you can see 1 happens the most often. See right there? Okay. 1 happened 11 times. You can see it down here in the 11. 2 only happened 7 times. 3 only happened 5 times, and so on. Okay. So our mode, and I'll type it right here, is equal to 1. Now I know what you're thinking. There's a formula. Well, there is, but the formula in Excel does not consistently work correctly, so don't use it and don't bother. Okay, it is not worth your time and effort. What about StatCrunch? Let me go to the JavaScript right here, right down there. Go to Options, Edit. You can see mode is not in that list, so it will not find the mode for you. You have to find it yourself. That's okay. It's a pretty easy thing to find, so it's not the end of the world. A Minitab does find modes, but not very well, so we'll talk about that in a sec. All right, so the mode for our example was 1. Great. All right, what about the US export data? Now, if we look back here, you can see mode right there is 10.3. Excel found that. And then mode right there is 10.3. And then again, StatCrunch does not find the mode. So let me pause. There we go. All right, so the mode is 10.3. You can see it, and I highlighted it right up here in red for you. And I also highlighted this capital N for mode so we can talk about it. And up here in this particular Excel output, it found it. Now, just a warning, Excel does not find the mode consistently. There actually is a formula, you can type equals mode, but the problem is that if there's more than one mode, it will not find it correctly. If there's, excuse me, I can type more than one mode. If there's more than one mode, Excel will only find one of them, no matter what. It's very annoying. Minitab will actually find all of them, and it will tell you what's more, how often it occurred. So for example, it's telling us that 10.3 is the mode and that it occurred twice in the data set. There were 2 10.3s in the data set. That's what the capital N next to it is telling us. So if it had been 3, then it would have been there are 3 10.3s in that data set. So Minitab is by far the most superior program for finding the mode. StatCrunch doesn't even find it, and Excel doesn't find it correctly most of the time. So don't use Excel, just do it by hand yourself, right? It's especially helpful if you have your data set in order like this, remember with data A to Z, then you can really quickly spot more or less which is the most frequent. All right. What about Red Wings players? This is the actual 2011-2012 lineup for the Detroit Red Wings. What's the most, the mode birth month? And that would be February, if I could spell it. There we go. All right, what about for this data set? What's the mode? And the answer is 1. No, just kidding. It's none. There isn't one. Because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 all happen only one time. There's none that happen more often than any others. What about for this data set right down here? Well, the answer is there's 1 and 5. Those two both occur twice. So if you were in Minitab, by the way, would say n equals 2 for both of those, right? Because each one of those occurred twice, just on a side note. It's called bimodal when there's 2 modes like this. All right, so what are some disadvantages to mode? We're seeing it already, hopefully. All right, we're seeing that you can't always, oops, hold on, I can't always spell, hold on. There we go. All right, so I was putting these down, I thought I would just type them and then talk about them. Namely that the disadvantages for the mode. So for example, you can have data sets that don't have one, like this one, right? There is no mode. Ugh. You could have more than one mode. You could have 2, 3, 4, 7 modes, whatever, which is not really very useful. And what's more, calculators don't find it. Computer programs don't find it, except for Minitab. I mean, there are some other computer programs that do, but of the 3 big ones that we're going to use, Excel, StatCrunch, and Minitab, only Minitab finds it. Now, if that's the case, then it's so awful. Why are we even using it and talking about it? And the answer is this guy. It's the Red Wings right here. The month that you're born in is qualitative data. Remember qualitative data from chapter 1. Hair color, eye color, birth month, that kind of thing. It's the only measure of center you have for qualitative data. You can't add up the months. I add up January plus January and divide by 2. What does that even mean, right? Nothing, right? So it's the only way you could find a measure of center would be to find the most frequent category, right? That's what the mode does for us. All right, we are done with section 3.1. I will meet you back here on the lecture videos for section 3.2, measures of dispersion. See you then.